No one is perfect. Let me repeat. No one is perfect. And I'm not the one who's saying this. Our Vedic scriptures do. It is coming right from our scriptures that no one is perfect. Especially, it points out a very, very important distinction between a liberated soul and a conditioned soul, like all of us are. In fact, they reveal that there are four primary deficiencies that every conditioned soul has. Now, let me tell you what those four deficiencies are. The first deficiency is that we all human beings, especially when we are in our conditioned stage, we tend to commit mistakes. Yes, it is said that to err is human. But then, whenever somebody senior tells us something that you should not do this, from experience, if they are telling, and if we again end up doing that particular thing, we regret it in the long term. I think that this has actually been one of the most common experiences that we all can agree on. So, the first point or the first deficiency is that we tend to commit mistakes. The second deficiency is that we remain in illusion. Now, what is this illusion? Well, if I ask you what's your name, you'll tell me that my name is so and so. Or if you ask me what I do, I would probably say that I am an advocate, or I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, I am a rich businessman. I'm going to tell you all of these things. Well, our scriptures say that this illusion is nothing but Maya. Let me ask you, if we identify ourselves as probably a doctor, then won't there be a time wherein I would have left my practice, wherein I would be retired and I'd be sitting at home? Would I be a doctor then as well? Well, then I would identify myself as a former doctor or probably as an ex-doctor. But our identity is something that always remains with us. So, as long as we identify ourselves with this material body, with the body that we are in right now, that would fall under the category of being into Maya or being in illusion. We all must have probably heard a lot many times that you are not this body, you are the spirit souls. And we tend to agree with that too. But let's be honest, how many of us have actually realized that I'm not this body, I'm the spirit soul? Because most of the activities that we are performing in this world are revolving around the very body that we have. We apply makeup products, we go to salon, and we do a lot many things which have nothing to do with the spirit soul. Well, as far as maintenance is concerned, it is fine. But the moment we transgress that particular boundary, or the moment we want to do everything, anything and everything only for the sake of this body, for the mere survival, that is when we tend to ignore the very core of this human body, which is the spirit soul. So this point was that we tend to remain in illusion or in Maya. Basically, illusion is anything which is not taking us towards Sri Krishna, or which is, making us bereft of his association, which is basically stopping us from learning about that supreme God, Sri Krishna. So this was point number 2. Our third point is that, believe it or not, but as per the scriptures, we have the propensity to cheat. Yes, we all have cheating propensity. We tend to portray ourselves before the whole world that I'm very intelligent, I'm very intellectual, there is no person who is more expert than me in this particular field, and that you should actually pay regards to me, that I agreed, to talk to you. So that is how we tend to portray ourselves in this world. Our scriptures say that this is nothing but cheating propensity. Despite knowing that there are so many things that we still do not know, we try to portray ourselves as superior. This is cheating propensity. And it is important to note that this cheating propensity, if we keep watering the plant of this cheating propensity, it boasts our false ego. That false ego which makes us go even deeper into this trap of illusion or Maya. So this was our third point, which is we all have cheating propensity. And the fourth point is we all have imperfect senses. There are so many people who would normally come up and ask you, hey, can you show me God? You are speaking so much about that God who is not even visible to my eyes. If there is God, show him to me. I want to see him. Well, scriptures do have a practical way, a practical tutorial as to how we all can see God. But the very question that show me God is wrong in itself. Why? A very simple example. Can you see your hand? Well, you would ask me, Kavya, what are you asking? Of course, we can see this hand. But what if I turn off all the lights and there is complete darkness in the room? Would you be able to see your hand then? Obviously not, because there is no light. So these are our senses. There is certain limit beyond which we cannot see. There is a certain frequency beyond which or below which we cannot hear. So all our senses, all of the senses that we have, they all have certain limitations, which means that the senses are imperfect. Sometimes our senses show us that thing which is not really present there. For example, mirage. In a hot desert in the daytime, when you see from a distance, you might observe that there is something at a far distance which appears to be liquid, which appears to be water. But the moment you go to that area, there would be no water. It's just plain sand, hot sand. So that's mirage. So all of these phenomena that we also discuss in the subject of physics. So sometimes things appear to be there when they are not. And similarly, sometimes we do not see things, but they're actually there. So this is the condition of our senses. So how can we expect that with the help of these imperfect senses, we would be able to see, and not only see, but try to understand that Supreme Lord who is perfect in all senses? That is why our scriptures reveal that the first step is to accept that we all are deficient. Because when we accept that we lack at something, that I don't have this particular thing, or this is the deficiency that I'm suffering from right now, the acceptance becomes the first step to learning further. So if we want to go further into the aspect of realizing who we really are, the first step is to accept that we are not perfect. Now the most important question is, who is perfect? Who is that personality on whom we can totally rely upon and get bona fide and authentic knowledge from? Let me give its answer to you through an analogy. Now, because we all are in existence and we all are living, so it becomes quite natural and obvious that we all have one mother and one father. Now, if you ask me, Kavya, who is your father? Can you find out who your father is? Now, what all options do I have? How can I know who my father is? Well, one option is that if I'm very scientific and I'm very logical, what I can do is that I can, go from one male to another male and asking them to do a DNA test with me. And in that way, I'll be able to find out that who exactly is my father. So that would be good, no? Because I would be doing a proper scientific research. So that would be one way. But there is an inherent problem in this. Well, the population of the entire world is so big that if I, even take just a segment of population and I try to do DNA test, probably I would reach my old age and eventually die. So this is practically not possible. So let's just shed out way number one. Now, what is the other way that we are left with? Well, now you'll tell me, Kavya, why don't you simply go to your mother and ask? Whatever your mother says, just accept it. Because doing DNA test of all the males in this particular population is not at all possible. So whatever your mother says, you have no other option but to accept. Well, who is our mother? Our mother is our Vedic scriptures. And our Vedic scriptures, our mother, tell us who our father is. Brahma Samhita. In Brahma Samhita, Sri Brahma says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Radir Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. Sarva Karan Karanam, the cause of all causes, is that Ishvara Parama Krishna, the Parameshwar, is Sri Krishna, who is made up of the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. No. Satchidananda Vigraha. That Vigraha, that form of Sri Krishna, is made up of Sat, eternity, Chit, knowledge, and Ananda, bliss. And because that Supreme Personality of Godhead is Ananda Vigraha, Satchidananda Vigraha, that is why we, being part and parcels of that Krishna, we also seek happiness. We also want to remain in Ananda, happiness or bliss. So, this is how we can understand that because we all have these four primary deficiencies, we are not perfect in our knowledge. So, the source of our knowledge, our information has to be bona fide, which is nothing but our Vedic scriptures, our Vedas, also known as Shruti. So, this is the reason why we should accept that we all are surrounded by these four deficiencies, especially when we are in our conditioned stage. And the moment we realize it and accept our Vedic scriptures as a bona fide source of true knowledge, that supreme knowledge or transcendental knowledge as our mother, that is when we would start to transform ourselves from being a conditioned soul to a liberated soul, or at least we would start treading on that particular way. So I hope that this video would help us to understand the position that we are on right now and how we can transform ourselves, or at least start moving towards the path of self-realization, and obviously accept Vedas as our mother. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.